So in one of our previous episodes, we made a guess the number game. We're going to recreate that, but we're going to make it a little bit nicer and we're going to put it into a class so it's a little bit more proper. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to import what we're going to be using. Obviously, we'll be using random. But let's also, as we have previously, let's include Colorama. And what we'll do with that is we'll import specifically everything from Colorama so that we don't have to use any namespaces or anything with that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to init. This is going to make Colorama actually work. Then we're going to create a class. This is going to be just called game. Now, inside game, we're going to have a couple of variables. The first thing we're going to have is the guess from the user. The next one is going to be the target that the user is trying to guess. And then finally, we're going to have a win or lose state. In this case, we're just going to call it win. And by default, it'll be false. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to define a couple of functions. These functions we're just going to use to kind of break the logic of the game out into a couple pieces. Really, this game is so simple that we could just put it all in one single kind of a loop function, but that wouldn't be very proper. So let's go ahead and create a randomize target. Of course, we got to include our self there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say self.target. So this is the variable we defined right here on line 7. And we're going to set this to string. So we're going to pull the string value of random.randint. And we're going to go 1 to 10. Then what we're going to do is we're going to define getGuess. So this is going to be us setting the guess value to whatever the user inputs. In this case, it's going to be guess a number between 1 and 10. Great. Now let's go ahead and define run game. Now, what run game is going to do is it's going to be our actual loop. But instead of doing a recursive call like we did in the previous one, we're just going to use a while loop that this class will control. So what we're going to say is we're going to say while not self.win. What we're saying is while we are not winning, we're going to randomize the target. So we're calling this, notice the parameter parentheses there, because we are calling a function. We are not calling any variable or anything. Then we're going to get our guess. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to say if self.guess equals self.target. We're going to then print something like, yay, you win. And then we're going to do else print wrong guess. It was, let's go ahead and print out our self.target. This is what we were aiming for, what we were trying to get. And then let's go ahead and say try again. Now let's go ahead and print our down here. Now this is outside of the class. This is within the class. This is the class header. And then this is outside the class. Anything at this indentation level where print is outside of the class. If I were to pop this up, it would technically be part of the class, which we don't want. What we're going to do is we're going to print guess in game. I'm going to move this down just a little bit so you have a little definition there. We're going to instantiate a game object. Then, once we have our game object, we are going to run the game. Now let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Guessing game. Guess a number between 1 and 10. Say 1. Oh, it was 2. I was close. 2. Hey, we win. Let's go 3. And 4. And 5. And 6. And 7. And 8. 9, and 10. As you can see, we can kind of guess through a whole bunch of stuff. We win some, we lose some. That's great. I need to find some way to quit this. We'll write that in. But as you can see, this is a really simple class. This class can be instantiated. You could instantiate multiple of these, though I don't know why you would ever want to. This specific class would probably be used more as a singleton if it were to ever be used in some kind of production game, primarily because it itself, there's only one game ever going. But it gives you the idea of how an object works and how these classes work and how they interact with each other. But let's go ahead and start adding our colorama to improve the user experience. So the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to change back to black and 4 to white. That sounds right. And then after the input, we're going to add here style.resetAll. And the reason we're doing that is the colors will change for this print, but at the end of the print, when our user is actually inputting their data, this would actually still have the color settings. So their inputted data would be colorized. So in this case, we're going to reset it so it looks more like their system settings, which is something they would probably be more comfortable with within input. And then for our yay here, let's go ahead and say back.green, because you just won, so that's green is good. Go. 4.white. All right. And then let's go ahead and once again take a look over at our back.red over here, because it's wrong, obviously. And then let's go ahead and add 4.white. Okay, this looks good. Let's go ahead and take a look. As you can see, we already have a little bit of coloring going on here. Hey, we won right away. Let's do it again. Wrong. As you can see, just having the colors here is really easy to see. And using the default styles for our input here, you can tell really easy what information is what information is what. Now, we can actually type anything in here. So yes, we can type anything. But it's not going to matter because we're comparing we're treating the user input as the user's input. We don't care what they input as long as we match numeric values with them, which is good because that makes it easier. But eventually you may want to add more functionality. In this case, I think we should probably want to be able to quit at some point. Sure, you could press Control-C and end the processing, but it's not graceful. It doesn't feel good for a user. So what I'm going to do here is where it says get guess, we're setting self.guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a check here. We're going to say if self.guess is inside, and we're going to create a small list, also known as an array, of little actions. These will be exit. What else can we do? Leave. That's a good one. So these are just a quick one. You could go exhaustively. There's also packages that will do this kind of stuff where you're like, oh, I want to have all the possible ways someone could try to quit or leave our program. These are the common ways, and it would have an array or a list or a dictionary or whatever of complex data that you can use to match. But in this case, we're just going to write a quick one because a lot of the time that's overkill. But anyways, we're going to do this, and we're going to say if it is in. So that means that if the user inputs Q or quit, E, exit, or leave, then what we will do is we'll print please come and play with us again. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to type break. And that's going to break our loop. And then when our loop ends, the game is actually going to run because this is only called once. So as soon as the while loop is broken, the run game function has ended. The class will kind of just still be there, but it's not running anything. And then the program will exit here. So let's go ahead and run it and take a look. And we're going to say 1, 2, 3, yay, 4, 5, 6, 7, yay, 8, yay, 9, 10. Hey, wow, we got a lot. We got 4 wins out of that. That was pretty cool. And then let's go ahead and quit. As you can see, it ends the program. It returns properly. We could press any key to actually close the prompt. And we have a really clean, really fun, functional game. Sure, it's not complex. Sure, it's not some of the cooler projects I have planned in the future, but this is a really fun one because you can kind of play with it. What I would challenge you to do at this point, if you've been watching either some or all of my videos about Python, is to challenge yourself into implementing some kind of feature. I don't know what that feature would be because I kind of want you to figure out what that feature would be. I've already simplified the code from the previous version, or at least there's a little bit more code, but it's in a class, and so extensibility would be pretty easy. I've also added some colorization and whatnot. I want to see what you would come up with, and if you do happen to go through and make something, tell me what feature you implemented and let me know how you did it, because I'm kind of interested in seeing if you know, kind of what you learn and how you gather something from this. So anyways, I hope you learned something. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you watching.